mic check. And we're live from the Stadium of History. Welcome to the Great Independence Showdown where African nation battled for independence. Some sprinted out of colonial rule, others took their time, and a few had to fight through extra time and penalties. Who made it out first? Who dragged into stoppage time? And who finally blew the delayed whistle on colonial rule? I'm Dr. Roxie Akuma, your host. And it's time for us to start the game. And we go to the first round where we have the ancient warriors talking about Egypt, who on February 28, 1922 gave the first pharaoh strike. You see, Egypt was already building pyramids even when European nations were still figuring out how to light a fire. So it's no surprise they gained independence early. Although the British sort of let them go in 1922, it will be good to know that they kept a tight grip on the Suez Canal until 1956. Their weapon is the Egyptian pound, which is still standing tall despite inflationary counterattacks. And let's go to see the incumbent, who is Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. He's a strongman defender who doesn't leave much room for opposition strikers. Their Egyptian pound is still in play, despite a few inflation on goals. And still in the first round, the South Africa, who actually got an early lead on May 31st, 1910, but with a foul. Now, over the South Africa broke free in 1910, or so they thought, because the early independence came with a red card. Only a select few were allowed to play the game of governance until 1994, when democracy finally subbed in with the late Nelson Mandela. Now, until 1994, the match officials only let the white players on the pitch. It took a second independence in 1994 when Nelson Mandela lifted the democracy trophy. Their currency, the rand, has taken some hits, but it's still in the league and kicking. The incumbent captain today is Cyril Ramaphosa, who is playing deep in defense, trying to stop corruption and economic freefall from scoring. Now moving to the second round, these we like to call the Freedom Chargers. In this round, we'll look at Ghana, the first to score in sub-Saharan Africa on March 6, 1957. Yes, Ghana, the Black Noble Star, stormed out of the tunnel like a striker on a mission. They took the bold step in 1957 as the first in sub-Saharan Africa to shake off the British rule. Ghana didn't wait for the referee's whistle. No, they blew it themselves. And what did they get? They grabbed independence in 1957 like a star striker, taking an early shot. Nkrumah led from the front and the Ghanaian city was introduced. Not the strongest midfielder in the current economic game, but it holds its ground. Although inflation has played tough defense, but Ghana keeps holding its ground. At the time of this edition, leading the team is John Mahama, who succeeded Nana Akufo-Addo, a veteran in the political midfield. Mahama is taking a second chance after leading Ghana from 2012 to early 2017. Will he keep the squad in shape? Well, since his swearing in on January 7, 2025, he has been trying to keep the team's economy from getting carded. Next in this round is Nigeria, the giant of Africa, who joined the battle and scored the goal on October 1st, 1960. The independence goal, though Big Brother came running 3 years after Ghana in 1960, they had size, they had power and diversity, but the British knew how to keep them guessing, dividing, ruling, and playing the midfield like a prime Zidane. Eventually, Nigeria grabbed independence, making its move on October 1st, 1960. Finally breaking free from Britain's endless divide and rule tactics with no midfield. Introducing the Naira, a currency that has had its fair share of own goals lately. Their current captain, Bola Tinubu, stepped into the shoes of many before him on May 29, 2023, hoping to keep the team on side. The Naira started strong but is now struggling under pressure as the incumbent continues looking for a game plan. Hope it works. Now we move on to the Francophone flair, and they are also in this round. Senegal came sprinting into the pitch in 1960, breaking away from France's defense. Now, unlike Ghana and Nigeria, who went solo, Senegal played a CFA France formation, linking up with other Francophone teammates. Their former leader, Macky Sall, had been dribbling through political challenges like a seasoned number 10. Now, although Senegal left France behind after the transfer of power agreement was signed on April 4, 1960, Senegal on the other side of the mirror gained their independence on August 20, 1960, a few months before Nigeria. They also decided to keep the CFA France in play, maybe for old time's sake. Love is strong, but oppression could be stronger. So far, they've managed a balanced team, but political substitutions have been tricky. Leading them now is Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who took over the team on April 2, 2024, from Macky Sall, hoping to avoid extra time controversies. In this round, we also have the socialist experiment from Tanzania. Now, Tanzania was close behind the year after Senegal in 1961.
So, Tanzania gained their independence on December 9th, 1961.
Sprinting off with the Tanzanian shilling instead of British pounds. Unlike others, they played the Ujamaa formation, a socialist style of play that worked for a while until capitalism came in with a late substitution. And Samia Suluhu Hassan has been calling the shots since March 19, 2021, being the first woman to serve Tanzania in this position. Before then, she served as the 10th vice president of the Great Safari Nation from 2015 to 2021. And the final in the second round is Kenya. Just 2 years later, Kenya pulled off a hard-fought victory in 1963, battling through a colonial defense that refused to go down easily. Their game plan? Guerrilla tactics and long-range strikes. Literally, I tell you. The results? Kenyans shilling in their pockets and William Ruto at the helm, trying to keep the economy from slipping into relegation. Kenya's independence in 1963 wasn't handed over easily. The Mau Mau had to press high and tackle hard to break through British resistance as Jomo Kenyatta stood as its prime minister. They finally lifted the trophy in 1964 after becoming a republic, introducing the Kenyan shilling. William Ruto is the incumbent captain who has held the trophy since 13 September 2022 after taking over from Uhuru Kenyatta. But the question remains, amidst political fouls and economic struggles, can he lead Kenya to victory? And now let's take a look at the extra time, and I mean the late arrivals. Oh great, in the extra time category we have Angola, who had to go into extra time and penalty shootouts against Portugal, only winning their independence in 1975 after years of fierce fighting. The Kwanza currency has struggled, however, the country is still rebuilding. João Lourenço, the third president and captain of the nation, is now trying to stabilize the team, but challenges remain. His portfolio is strong though, seeing that he faced the Angolan War of Independence between 1961 and 1974. He also featured in the Cabinda War, Angolan Civilian War, and the Second Brazzaville-Congolese War. And to Namibia, the last to arrive at the party. Namibia, after decades under South Africa's colonial defense, they finally claimed independence in 1990. Yes, the same year Cameroon was dazzling the world in the FIFA World Cup. Their Namibian dollar is still a lightweight currency, but their team is young and ambitious. And for the first time, Her Excellency Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah is leading as the first female captain. She started leading the Namibian team as the fifth president on 21st March 2025. Perhaps she can bring the country to multidimensional growth across key sectors. And that is the full-time whistle on the Independence Showdown. Some teams have thrived, others are still struggling to avoid relegation. But one thing is clear: Africa ought to be playing its own game now. So stay tuned for more interesting analysis. If you enjoyed this episode, like the video and share to 1,000 friends to keep the world abreast of the African histopolitical marches. Can you see the subscribe button? Now hit it.